Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, friends. I hope you're all well. I'm sitting on my terrace. It's like 12 o'clock. The moon has a strange split, a black shadow, like a splint, on the lower left side. This camera has no zoom. I don't think it would be enough to see it. But this is like my 6th or 7th try to make this video. There's always something coming in between. So this time I will just record and I will keep on talking and I will not stop. Whatever happens. So let things happen. Tonight I would like to talk about a family. A family of father, mother and 2 kids. And one kid is super bright and intelligent and emotional intelligence too, and everything you want. And the other one is kind of handicapped. So in this family what happens is that most of the love they can give, they give it to the handicapped kid, which is okay, but they forget completely about the other one. They never give him the same amount of love, and little by little they use him. Let's say, do this, wash that, clean the kitchen. With the handicapped kid they would never argue or tell him what to do. Or if he had done something wrong, they would not get angry. But with the intelligent one, the super bright one, they would come up with all kind of criticism and punishments and so on. What would happen? Obviously, they would not have a single chance to enjoy whatever the intelligent kid would do. And they would or ignore it or never learn it. And this would be a pity. Now, let's come back to our brain. Last week we found out that it was quite impossible that our brain would be able to manipulate so perfectly the moving of people without a tremendous effort. And we kind of started to think that there must be another brain, because with one brain it would be impossible to do all this stuff and think and take decisions and so on. We didn't know that some 2 years ago people, neurologists and scientists, started to point out that they had found much more neurons in the stomach and small intestine than in the brain. We found out when we started to look it up, because we said, where are the neurons? There must be neurons. And we found them. We found them in the stomach and in the small intestine. It is interesting to see that if you unfold the small intestine and the stomach and you cover an area, it covers, I think it was a tennis court. If you do the same with the brain, it covers around 3 square meters. So, if you look at your smartphones or cell phones, you have normally a camera on the top of the backside, and right behind this camera is a little microprocessor that is dedicated exclusively to video and sometimes to audio too, and sends all the signals to the main unit, the CPU, that is situated a little bit below. That's the big one. And the same thing is happening in our bodies. You see, our eyes, nose, ears, mouth, all what we are sensing and monitoring goes directly to the small processor or sensor. Sorry, to the small processor. That's why the brain in our head is situated in our head, and our eyes and ears and nose and mouth are so close to it. It's to avoid the loss of signal, it's to avoid large lines or cabling. And then the processed information goes down to the stomach and to the small intestine in 7 channels. They are very thick channels, and that's the biggest connection between 2 organs, let's say 2 parts of the body. No other organs or parts are that kind of connected. They have connections, but most of the time they are very small lines, and only one, which includes the nervous system. So let's have a look at the number of neurons that would result from the extension of a tennis court compared to the extension of 3 square meters. I'm sure that neurons cannot be counted, but I'm also sure that only the small intestine would have around 20 times more neurons than the brain in our head. If we come back to the story of our family, where we were not able to give the same love to both of our sons, I think now you understand what I was talking about. We consider our stomach a stomach, and the small intestine is something we really don't think about. We ignore it completely. We give it all kind of work, and we nearly never tell him how good he is doing. We don't think that he is a brain. We treat him very badly. And if something works, we normally point to our head and say, yeah, how clever am I? Or how well did I do that? Or that was a good idea. And as in the story with the family, we are completely wrong. We are completely wrong. It may be that the brain can take over some functions of the brain intestine, and it may be possible that most of these functions are kind of manipulated, it can also be possible that our brain in the head is easy to manipulate, and our brain in the stomach or small intestine needs a lot more of work. You see, there's this expression that I felt that in my guts. My guts tell me, and this expression is ridiculously true. Obviously, our guts tell us, but we normally don't listen to them. So here we come to the point where we have to rethink, and starting from the stomach we have to rethink. If we position ourselves in the head, like we live in the head, like a soul in the head or whatever, we are wrong. If there's a place where our consciousness, or where we could be, then this place is in the guts. And this is quite clear. There are many more things. Like, for example, the food we take in. Why is our main brain, the biggest brain, also in contact, close contact to food? What is food then? So, you see, this opens a lot of doors, a lot of things. And I think each of them is a treasure chest. I think the time of opening doors and finding anything behind them, or another wall, or another deception, has finished with this discovery. Not mine, a discovery that was made 2 years ago, more or less. We came to it naturally, but there it is. What is food? Why are we eating? We know that we are kind of forced to eat, and that airborne proteins would be the best solution for all of us. And we also know that, in fact, we need little food. We could do with very little food. And fasting 10 or 15 days is possible. And fasting gives a lot of growth hormone into the body again, and repairs a lot of cells and organs. So, yes, we know eating is something is very wrong with eating. But now, thinking that our big brain, that one that takes decisions, senses things that the other brain is unable to see, or hear, or smell. Now that we know that our big brain is connected closely to food, we have to look at food in another way. And once we know what food is, many things will fall apart. I think it would be like a tsunami. And I don't think it's difficult. It's like when we started with all this flat earth thing. In the beginning it was so difficult to think about earth as something flat. And somebody said, oh, this world, and I was always imagining a kind of globe. It took me like 2 years. Now when somebody talks about earth, I don't see the globe any longer. And I think with food it will be the same. A little bit more difficult, but faster, because now we are used to be able to turn things around, or make them flat, or change shape. Flat earth was training. Now comes the big school. Now comes the big exam, and I think it's all related to the brain in our stomach, our small intestine, in our guts. There are many more things I could say, but I think this is enough. This is the starting point. That's where everything will change. Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, which is listening, and have a nice night or day. Bye.